Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all back to Dragon Age Origins. So, last time we kind of wrapped up what little business we had in Lothering. Now it's time to, well, I guess head north. I think that's where we're going. Yeah, so this is, no, we already are north. So this is Lothering here. It's kind of smack in the middle of Ferelden. And from here we have a lot of choices of where to go next. I'll discuss it more when we actually get to the placey place, the camp, and we're ready to head onwards. But yeah, essentially the well, no, I already said I was gonna touch on that when we reach the camp. Did I get that elf fruit already? I thought I did. I did. I just thought it was still glimmering. There's an encounter up here, which is very important.
Away with you, foul creatures! Leave us alone!
Alright, I'm gonna need... Yes, that's right. Should also shield bash the big fatty. I want you to sunder the arms of the big fatty, and I want Morrigan to come here and blast a few brains. Alright, taking down the big guy is a very good idea to handle first, so... Alright, I think they'll be able to handle the rest of him. I'm gonna use my, rogue. Backstab this fool. Continue to backstab the fool. Alright, Alistair, come pummel this guy. Oh wait, no, that was a bash. I already used the pummel. Alright, go ahead and take care of the archers, please. Morgan, I would like you to do the same. There we go, that's what I like. We handled that quite effectively for a change. It helps that I'm actually pretty well rested and know what I'm doing. I think my microphone's a little too loud. I want it to start clipping. I think that'll do. Perhaps a little too much. Alright. Oh, Blood Mage. Ooh. Maleficarum regrets. I am intrigued. Tell me more. It was a quest related? Yes. I won't go back, let them hunt and dread finding me, but you, Melis, should not live this life. It would please me if you found a life in the Circle Tower. I left a few things there, mostly stolen from the enchanters. Tell them to find a new path. The cache is in the study area, middle alcove. Goodbye. So, I guess that's some treasure we can find when we find ourselves in the Circle of Magi. Good to know. Oh, how'd you get a Grey Warden helmet? Fuck you, Sten. Sten? Sten's a bit of an off-putting fellow, and I can understand why quite a few people don't really like him. But I'll touch on that a bit more as well.
Mighty timely arrival there, my friend. I'm much obliged.
You're welcome.
The name's Bodon Fedek, merchant and entrepreneur. This here is my son, Sandal. Say hello, my boy.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been mighty dangerous these days. Mind if I ask what brings you out here? Perhaps we're going the same way.
It's a bit complicated, but you're welcome to come along.
Complicated? Somehow I imagine that only says half of it. Thank you for the offer. There may be more excitement on your path than is good for my boy and me. Allow me to bid you farewell and good fortune.
Goodbye.
Now then, let's get this mess cleaned up, shall we?
Of course he says that, but it turns out that we actually do, in fact, somehow end up traveling along the same path literally every single time we make camp. Funny how that works. Alright, well, while they're cleaning up their mess, I think we should lend a hand. by pocketing some of the loot ourselves. I'm not really sure who that would be a gift for. Now, God only knows how he managed to get this cart up here without a beast of burden of any kind, because there's no way he could have pulled it along there or up that hill on his own. Could be that this isn't even his cart. Who knows? Anyway, let us head away from this place. By God.
Bad dreams, huh?
Must have been something I ate.
Drank more like, as in the tainted blood, remember? You see, part of being a Grey Warden is being able to hear the Darkspawn. That's what your dream was, hearing them. The Archdemon, it talks to the Horde, and we feel it just as they do. That's why we know this is really a blight.
The Archdemon, was that the dragon?
I don't know if it's really a dragon, but it sure looks like one. But yes, that's the Archdemon. It takes a bit, but eventually you can block the dreams out. Some of the older Grey Wardens say they can understand the Archdemon a bit, but I sure can't. Anyhow, when I heard you thrashing around, I thought I should tell you. It was scary at first for me too.
Are there any other surprises I should know about?
Other than dying young and the whole defeat the Blight alone thing, no. I'm all tapped out for surprises. Anyhow, you're up now, right? Let's pull up camp and get a move on.
I'm sure we'll have plenty more surprises along the way anyway. Alright, well, while we're here, might as well have a word with some of our mates.
What do you need?
Do you want to talk about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
He was like a father to you, understand.
I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry.
I don't... It's not like your whining really did any harm. There's no need to apologize.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of.
What about the other Grey Wardens?
I don't know. I have no idea what the Grey Wardens do for them when they fall in battle. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry, I'm just...
Saw plenty of death in the alienage.
Yes, I suppose you must have. I can't even imagine, really. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
Let's get going. So, my intention with this character is not necessarily to be the, like, really sappy, friendly, goody-two-shoes kind of character, but I figure where it makes sense, my character should at least be sympathetic. For example, there, Duncan was like a father figure to him, and obviously our character lost family in the alienage and lost her mother more specifically. So that's why I think it just made a little bit of sense for there to be some sympathy there at least.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
Whoops. God damn it. What would someone like you be doing in Lothering's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
They don't teach you to fight in the cloister, do they?
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
What did you do before that?
I was a traveling minstrel in All Eight. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Alright, so we didn't really get any additional approval from her, unfortunately. Now, Sten. What's up with you, Sten?
Why are we stopping?
We're working together. I think I should get to know you.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
I need to know if I can trust you at my back.
I am Kunari. I have given my word to aid you. We are not people of idle promises.
Is that so? Tell me about your people.
No.
No?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
A little hostile, aren't we?
Many humans have said that to me. I do not understand it. If I were indeed hostile, you would be bleeding.
So this is you being calm and helpful?
Couldn't you tell?
You said you were in the army.
I am.
Why would the Kunari send soldiers here?
The Antam are the eyes, hands, and mouth of the Kunari. We are how my people know the world.
You didn't really answer my question.
No, I didn't.
Are you always this stubborn?
Yes. There is no point to this. We are keeping the Darkspawn waiting.
Are you alright? You were in that cage for weeks.
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight.
Alright, I can believe that.
As you wish.
Somehow we got his approval there, even though I felt like we antagonized him a little more than he would have appreciated. And here we see the men themselves.
My kindly rescuer, Bodon Fennick, at your service once again. I saw your camp and remembered the kind offer that you made the last time we met. And is there anywhere safer for a poor merchant and his son to sleep? I think not. I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes?
What are you selling exactly?
Anything, everything, but all of the finest quality. No cheap trinkets here. And my boy Sandal happens to be a bit of a hand with enchantments. Oh, yes. Sadly, it also makes us a target for bandits and the like. If there were spare hands to hire as guards, I would have done so long ago.
You're free to stay, just mind yourselves.
Wonderful. Thank the kind lady, won't you, boy?
Thank you, kind lady.
We won't be a bother to you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me.
Well, let's have a word with
You
you.
and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road.
So what's your story exactly?
Well, if you're really interested, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there, too. Merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose.
Indeed. What about this lost glory?
Our kingdoms once spanned the length of Thados, from majestic Orzammar to Kal Sharok to glittering Darmalin far to the west. They say the gold and silver veins ran so thick through the stone of Darmalin that the entire city sparkled. The Darkspawn took it all, of course. One by one, the old tides fell, and then all that was left was Orzammar. But we were talking about how I ended up here, weren't we? One day, a noble woman came to my stall. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that.
And did you steal them?
Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tides, they're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure, something worth a little gold.
I guess it's better to do something with them than leave them to rot.
That's exactly how I see it. The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what they planned for me, and I didn't want to find out. Bribed the guard that was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
Quite lucky to have done so well.
I thank the stone every single day. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
Now, as far as the stone, the way he addresses it,
Of course.
almost in a
Goodbye.
sort of godlike reverence, I can't totally remember since it's been so long, but basically the dwarves don't worship the Maker or any god per se. They worship their ancestors and believe that they have a connection with the stone, as in, like, the mountain. And, so they have something called a stone sense, which is the belief that a dwarf should never leave the mountain for any reason, should never see the surface. And obviously he's here, and he's pretty much only here by virtue of exile, and it's just kind of a more of a necessity. If the dwarves want to continue living after exile, they have no choice but to embrace the surface and the sky and everything, which is like just short of a death sentence as far as many of them are concerned.
If there's anything I can do for you, please.
You didn't mention your
please
son in
tell
your
me.
tale.
Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think, and he was never quite right in the head. I took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the surface. He may not be my blood, true, but I think of him as one.
We left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again.
That was generous of you.
It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem to enjoy it, at least.
But where do these goods come from? Not from the deep roads, surely.
Look, we don't rob people, all right? We don't take things from people that need them. The things in the Lost Tigers, what good did they do lying there? I brought them back to Orzammar, where people could look at them and remember. It's not all that
And pay
different
for them
up
all
here.
over again.
There are places long abandoned by the humans everywhere. Even more now with the Darkspawn coming.
I think these particular, goods might be a little too fresh to really say that they're lost, though.
People flee from the Blight with good reason, but they forget things. Things with value and meaning. They leave them behind because they're frightened and desperate. And sometimes, my boy and I, we find our way to these places before the Horde descends, and we save these things. I take them away so the Darkspawn don't get them. It's not so bad. They destroy everything they touch.
I mean, I think it's, in this situation, he's not necessarily wrong. These are a lot of things that would be lost to the war, and it's different than looting. It's not like people going into, like, a city that's been evacuated and just destroying everything and stealing whatever they can find. They're going to, like, villages and towns and things that were surrendered to the Blight. Things that the Darkspawn, that, these people left these things behind with at least some amount of certainty that they were never getting them back. So he's not necessarily wrong, but I think it is good to just remind him that this isn't really like a black and white kind of circumstance. So he's in like this sort of weird gray area, and I think he just needs to remember that. So we have to remind him that the Blight will not necessarily last forever.
No, of course not. And when it ends, I will go back to finding ruins, or move on. I don't really have much of a choice.
Have you heard any rumors?
I hear that Tyr Loghain, the regent, is calling for new levies of troops. He wants to rebuild the army we lost at Astagar. Thing is, there's not a lot of spare men to be found. Out of Dragon's Peak, there's press gangs roaming around, grabbing any free man they can lay their hands on. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
Let me see your wares then.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
And so, obviously, he has assorted, sundry goods. I hope that's the right way to use that word, but, yeah. Crafting stuff, poultices, potions, and so on and so forth. And he also has these. These tomes here unlock certain abilities. For example, this one gives an extra point to spend on a talent or spell. This one unlocks... Oh, wait, no. This one's specific for mages. There are, I think, tomes you can find which unlock... Wow, he has all the Blood Dragon stuff. I guess he has the extra ones. We just got the body armor. But yeah, there are certain, like, books that will unlock different specializations for each class. And, those are pretty unique, but there are other ones that, are more... Like, there are other ways to unlock classes that are more specific. One of the funniest ones, I don't know if he has it. One of the funniest ones, there is a book that teaches you how to be a berserker. Which kind of seems counterintuitive. A berserker is just an absolute, like, fanatic, mad, wild warrior type. So I don't think he's going to learn that out of a book. Anyway, he's got a backpack, but that is wicked expensive. We have not really come in risk of... What is this? Where did I find that? We have yet to really come in risk of, I thought I gave that to Sten. I must have given him a new one. I already forgot. Yeah, we're not really in risk of losing or being over-encumbered. So I'm not too concerned about that. I will still hang on to that. Don't need this. Don't need that. Might as well give that to somebody. Alright, now let's look at Sandal in his enchanting menu.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... What was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
Savants, eh? I'm sure most people are aware of it, but basically a savant is a... in layman's terms, it's someone who kind of has a severe social disability and perhaps a lot of mental handicaps, but tend to excel in a very specific sort of intellectual task. Not always intellectual either. Sometimes it can be very creative or artistic. There's a famous savant who is basically considered a human calculator. You can ask him almost any sort of equation and he'll come up with an answer in a matter of seconds, but he's got, like, severe social disabilities. There are a lot of other things he's unable to do. He needs a caretaker at all times. But basically, he's, like, the ultimate, like, sort of, like, not really theory, but just, he can practice math in an unbelievable way that most people can't really handle. And there's another one I saw. He was, his drawing kind of makes the rounds on the internet once in a while. Pops up every once in a while. He was taken on a helicopter ride over the city of London for about 20 minutes, and as soon as he got back, he started drawing the city from a sky, from, like, the view of the sky, and he got it pretty much perfect. Like, just a portrait from a memory of a 20-minute helicopter ride. He was able to draw everything beneath him pretty much flawlessly. So, yeah, savants tend to be very creative or just to a certain extent very intellectual, but with a lot of limitations. So essentially what Sandal's deal is here, he's simple, he can't really live for himself, he can't really handle a lot of sort of daily necessities, but he happens to be as good or better than any Tranquil when it comes to enchanting weapons. What kind of enchantments does he do?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
And that's demonstrating it. So, as far as Lyrian goes, we'll learn more about it later, but basically, dwarves have a natural resistance to lyrium and its effects. Lyrium, in its raw state, can cause severe health and mental defects in humans and elves who handle it, but dwarves have a much greater immunity to it. The problem is lyrium is also essential for any kind of magical acts or any kind of magical conjuring or whatever you want to call it. So the dwarves naturally are unable to cast magic. They're unable to be mages of any kind. And but by virtue of that, because they have such a high resistance to it, they can work with it much more safely. And that's kind of what happened with Sandal here. Although some of the lyrium may have made him very, very simple as a result, he's still able to work with it, pretty much to the extent of any master craftsman.
Enchantment!
And what we have here, we've got 3 different weapons that can be enchanted with a rune, and all we've got is this Journeyman Lightning rune here. If I add this to my sword, for example, unfortunately it doesn't really tell me what it does, which is kind of annoying. I were to put it there, doesn't really tell me what difference it makes, which is kind of annoying. I'd like to see a preview of it just to be sure. But otherwise, we could add it to Oathkeeper, which I think we could give to Alistair. And I don't think. Let's take a look. Oh shit! I did it. Shit! I didn't mean to. Oh well. Now I've got lightning on my offhand weapon, unfortunately. Alright, now Morgan's chilling over here. Let's have a word with her.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Did you, is Flemeth what she really seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
A nutty old bat.
Sometimes I do wonder the very same thing. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Ah, I see. That does explain much. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Do tell.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful. A fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago was this?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Sold his wife?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement.
Really?
All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
She spoke to spirits or demons?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which, she never invaded or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only
Dirty
attached to
bastard.
the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
How is it that she survived for so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect even to her.
Interesting story, thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Wow, we got a lot with Morgan. Now, of course, talking to them and speaking to them in ways that get their approval are obviously ways to improve their disposition towards you, but in many ways it can be cheaper simply to bribe them with things such as these gifts we have. Yeah, I don't know who wants this. I'm pretty sure that Leliana wants that. Don't remember who likes jewelry. And this is for a certain particular colorful character we'll meet later. And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to possibly the biggest controversy of Dragon Age Origins.
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the Coins? Levy the Trader?
I can't say he ever did. I'm a Larian.
He never told you of old Levy?
I would have pronounced it Levi, but that's just me.
Here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
What promise did he make to you?
My family... well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Olin banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
What happened next?
Hard to say. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
I'm surprised you kept your name.
Our family's only crime was guarding the kingdom against the Blight. We're not ashamed of that.
Attaboy. So what favor did you ask of Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honor.
Never even heard of Soldier's Peak.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honor.
Why didn't Duncan help you?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new wardens and meeting with good King Cailan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
What do you need from me?
I can pick my way through the tunnels at the base of Soldier's Peak, but the place, well, they say it's haunted, and it'll be dangerous for certain. Will you think on it at least?
How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
Your family's faith will be rewarded. I will help you.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
So, did you notice anything there that was, that warranted a controversial discussion? No? That's because I already have the DLC. That whole spiel that this guy gave us, the whole story lamenting his family name, and talking about helping the Wardens, and just building up this quest that just sounded epic and, incredible. Turned out, it was a massive sales pitch. What would have happened, had I not already had the Ultimate Edition on Steam, is, once we got through that dialogue, there would have been a dialogue option to open up the in-game store menu, to buy the DLC, to take part in the quest that he was pitching onto you. So you can see why that pissed off a lot of people. The fact that there was pretty much a microtransaction built into the middle of this whole quest. I mean, obviously you can't start the quest until you buy it. But the fact that they actually had the gall to sell you a DLC in the middle of the game was just ballsy. And it's safe to say that EA has not really learned their lesson in the meantime. Anyway, that's really all we need to do here. We could talk to people some more, but I don't think we're really going to get any more out of them, not just this soon. One thing I wonder is, what are these X's on the ground here? You know what, I think they're representing the companions here, but for some reason Alistair's is a little off-center. Anyway, that's about all we can do, so let us depart. We don't need Leliana, because, I mean, we're already a rogue, so we might as well take everyone else.
Yes.
Now, where should we go first? We can go to the Brazilian outskirts to try and find the Dalish Elves, or we can go to Denerim for, I don't know, no real gain just yet. This is Soldier's Peak, so that's a DLC. This is Ban Lawrence Land. I'm assuming that's another DLC. I'm assuming all the ones in gold are DLCs. And then here's Soldier's Pass, which I don't really know about. I think, as I tend to do, I'm just going to do Redcliffe first. Let's head that way. Uh-oh. We've been waylaid. Hold up. Alright, there was apparently a trap. Ah. So there's some, like, bear traps strewn about here. So, what do we got going on? We have an emissary. Unfortunately, I don't think Alistair really has any Templar abilities yet, so we can't use him to take down mages. I'm gonna have him take care of him. You go ahead and activate that, and then shield bash the fool. And I want Morgan to make a mess of this fool. Trap, 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 trap. This is ridiculous. Way too many traps. Anyway, Morgan, vote you get a little closer. Avoid the traps, please. I want you to stun this alpha. Then try and take down this guy. What else we got going on? You're taking down the emissary, which is good. There we go, that's all we need. Now we can take down this fool. No, you're not going anywhere, bitch. No, I don't think Morgan activated... Yeah, she didn't activate the ice weapons. Alright, watch out for that. Oh, Alistair triggered it. So be it. Nice! That was well done, sir.
Trap!
Wait. Oh. You're fucking joking. I never saved the dog. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dragon Age Origins, and it's gonna be a couple days while I go back, save the dog, and make my way back to where I am now. Thanks for joining me. And I'll try not to fuck up as much in the future.